Welcome to my track breakdown of Void Sequence, where I'll be looking at the project file and going over track structure, sound design, mixing, mastering, and effects. Okay, let's get started. So as you can see, I've got the project file here. So I've got Ableton open here. Let me open up the project file. As you can see, I have everything grouped. So I have my drums, my bass, melody, layer, all grouped. Most people work this way. Not too sure if other people work a different way. As far as I understand, groups and buses are the same thing. The research I've been going through is that a bus and a group are exactly the same thing, and within Ableton, you can put lots of tracks into an input on Ableton, but that doesn't matter. As long as they're grouped, they will act as one track, and you can apply effects and compression to that one track, and it acts as a single track. Happy to be challenged on this concept, but this is the way I work. I don't use buses where I put inputs from tracks into other tracks. The only thing I do with inputs is returns, where I have return tracks, and I can send reverb and delay to those from other tracks to those return tracks. Anyway, let's go through the intro. Cool. So most of this is in the melody layer. I've just grouped it all as one. You can see I've got just some pads here coming in from the start. This is just a sample. Gain turned down quite a bit by -9 dB. Probably should be on Pro, Complex Pro, but it's just on Beats. On the warping. Yeah, this is just out of a sample pack, this pad. There's that pad. We have a white noise, which I made an operator and freezed and exported it out. This is a serum patch that I've frozen and exported out. Just a little bit of a cool pad. So the second part, the first 32 bars is pretty simple. Then we got the second 32 bars, which where this reverse crash comes in, and we've got this other effect, MAME serum. It's just like a drone effect. And we got this echoey effect, which is just a sample from a sample pack. EQ doing nothing. And then this one, which is just some echoes from a sample pack, echo effect. Sound pretty cool for some texture. So yeah, that's our intro here. So it builds up quite slowly, I guess, rather than the 16-bar phrase. We've got like a 32-bar phrase with one continuous sound before more effects come in on the second part. So it's a 64-part intro, which can be pretty long for tracks nowadays, I guess. But who cares? Okay, so here's our drum build-up. So there's an effect, a technique that I learned off another producer with the EQ on the build-up of these drums. I'll just show you the automation. So basically, the frequency A automation starts at 18 kilohertz and comes down to 56 hertz. You can see this as a visual representation here. It's like a cool choppy effect with the build-up. I use that quite a bit in my tracks nowadays. The bass on the build-up. So this one is the same as what's on the drop, but there's an EQ here with some automation. Let's have a look at the patch, which I made myself in Serum. So this isn't a preset. This is just a saw wave layered with this 408 wavetable and a sub underneath, which I cut out anyway. I probably don't need, and a filter. So it's just as I said, it's called a filter bass. So cut off it is on LFO1 and LFO3 as well. So there's two filters that are working, hence why I called it a filter bass. Or even four filters. Four filters in play on the one patch. I wasn't sure if they were on the cover, but it looks like they are. That's some heavy filtering. So the level on this square is actually up. This one level is down, but I'm FMing on this from B. So you can see FM's turned on and it's frequency modulating this wavetable here. And I've got some distortion. That's pretty much it for that patch. There was some trash on this one. Isotope Trash 2, very good plugin. Just some tape saturation applied on 120 to 1.54 kilohertz, and some garage effects on the highs. So there's our build up. As you can see, it's sort of the bass EQ is modulated as well, so it goes higher. Basically, the frequency, one frequency A is automated up. Just gets smaller, 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 higher and higher. These notes as well. As you can see, it's a MIDI sample from a MIDI sample pack called Bass Techno Bass F. It's a cool little rhythm. And then I think I added in the top note manually, this C2. Okay, let's go through the drop. So there's actually in the full drop section there's 64 bars. So 232 bars in the full first drop section. Might be a bit long for a modern drum bass, but there we go. I put variations so it doesn't always stay on the same loop over and over. So the drums are very simple. These hats straight from the sample pack. Some EQ applied in the top end to cut off everything except the top. Not like I really need to anyway. It's just there just in case. Yeah, these drums are just literally it's pulled out of a sample pack. Not much chopping up or anything like that. It's just a loop. One of the Slice test press ones, I'm pretty sure, but they sound good, and that's all that matters. They're quite chunky. So normally I chop them up and sort of have kick and snare processed separately, just to beat them up a bit, but they're already chunky enough as they are, so why over-process stuff? Yeah, so these are bought straight out of these are bought straight from a sample pack. The only thing I've put on here is a clipper with quite aggressive clipping to give me that headroom, about 11 dB or 13 dB. It's actually, I've got the, I'll go through a bit the mixing later. We can go through that later. Take your drums, very simple. Bass, same patch as I've used in the intro, in the build-up. Plus I've got a secondary patch here, which is the low to mids, handles that frequency. So that fills out that frequency. So if you listen on a phone or something like that, you can then hear that mid bass quite clearly. You know, if it's just pure sub, you're not going to hear anything. And then I have a sub. So it's literally the same patch, but all I've done is turned off these oscillators and have the sub there. And I'll put the octave up one for that one. This one, again, turned off the oscillators, octave 0. So altogether, I also have some effects on the mid bass here, sending to delay and reverb. And that's it for that bass. This bass here is a sample, pulled out a sample pack. Not much processing really, just chopped out, but it works. It's like a cool newy sound. And that's obviously a separate section of that same sample I've chopped out as well. And it just repeats itself here. Again, the white noise off a sample, I suppose you could call it. Just comes in at the end of each bar here. There's also this one here. So to taper that off, so it doesn't cut out, so it goes into the drop. Also what I do, which I haven't done this track, but normally I'd reverse this white noise as well and put that on the drop, so you have that white noise throughout the drop. I have that's mixing. We'll go into mixing a little bit. We're just looking at the sound design structure for now. So this is section A, and then we got section B. So I'll just explain a little bit here. Drums are pretty much the same, except I've got a ride, which is also in the A section. Ride, rim, I guess you could call it ride, whatever. Basically like two sticks hanging together. That's just straight out of Ableton default sample library. Yeah, and it sort of just continues on. So a little bit of more of a build up there. Okay, so the bass here, slightly different notes. I made up my own little rhythm. That goes, as you can see. All the same patch. This sample, pulled sample pack, and just sounds good. Not much to it. It's a bit of an EQ. So that just comes every bar, and then increases by the end. Okay, so that's B section. I guess this is C section now. I'm not too familiar with music expressions and so forth. I'm a producer, but I guess this is a C section of that same drop. Third section, whatever you want to call it. Because yeah, there's 16 bar phrases here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 phrases in the bar, in the drop. So we have our third section. So this, I believe, it's the same sound from the intro. No, completely different. Okay, so that was a CM patch. This is also a CM patch, which has been frozen. I believe this was made in an earlier version of the project, but I've just frozen and bounced it out. And yeah, digging that up is a mission. So, but yeah, it was made within Serum and just bounced out. It's just a little sequence. So these notes are the same. I don't know. It's just a straight. There's no rhythm there, it's just a singular. Yeah, so that patch sort of has legs by itself. It doesn't need to have rhythm or anything applied for it to actually do something, because all the modulation stuff is doing the work for us. As you can see, I've got an envelope filter on the first LFO only. The others are sort of triggering. That leads us into this section. I sort of alternate those notes up and down. F to G, F to G. That sort of sounds cool. Yeah, not much else on that last section. Just these bits repeating. And drum wise, not much else either. I actually take out the ride or the what do we want to call them? The rim shots here on this second section as well. Just to switch it up. Drum loop here for the kick to repeat, and also a drum fill as well. That's on it. Yeah, it's all chopped. Okay, so we'll go into the breakdown. I've got an impact, which is our crash from earlier. Again, from these elements from the intro coming back in. Give it that consistency. Same drum build up. It's only a 16 bar. So it is a 32 bar breakdown. Same effects. Same build up. And the second drop is on 4x4. Everyone knows 4x4 is in anyway. Let me just explain the new elements I've added in. So this is a sample, not much applied but some EQ. I believe it's chopped out because I don't think the sample's like that. It's been modified. So it's just reverb and delay applied. We've got our operator as well. So I guess there's sort of two build-ups. For the second drop, you've got a build-up here, and then you've got another little build-up here. And then you've got another sort of drop section. And then you've got this section. Freeze is another sample. No, it's a freeze from a Cinnamon Patch, I'm pretty sure. And it's that same Cinnamon Patch from earlier, which was in the first drop. And then for the last section. We'll go up and down again. And for our outro, we've just got that fading off right nicely. Okay, so let's go through some mixing techniques I used. As I said earlier, there's our clipper on the drums to give it that headroom. Yeah, so that gives me about negative 12 dB of headroom while keeping the body of the drums. It's quite nice. So here's the clipper here. And I've got oversampling at 4 times. Just so I can note, it gives it more oversampling processing power. This clip settings at -1. These are the settings I pretty much use for my drums and bass. I do bring down the volume as well, just so that they sit in the mix too. I don't just play a clipper and call it a day. Here's our EQ, which is just, we've got some compression on this band here, which just brings out the snare a little bit. Doesn't really do much. Does a little bit. And an EQ just to curve off those harsh highs for those hats, because if I do it without, that fuzzy high frequency, which we don't want. So yeah, we also have this return track going to an old school Verb plugin. It's a cool free plugin by Voxengo, usually Span. This is a drum room preset. Yeah, gives it that sort of cool, roomy feel for the drums. Otherwise, they sound flat and boring. Our bass. free clip, just to give us a headroom at about 12 dB again. A utility which is sidechaining the kick. So every time the kick hits, the bass cuts out. This is a very old school way of doing it. Some people use LFO. Not LFO. What was the plugin name? I think it's, I'm not too sure. It's a more advanced one, which I don't have, so I'll just do it manually. I think it's LFO tool you can use. Stock plugins are fine, really. Majority of them. Obviously, Serum is an essential piece of kit, but when it comes to EQs and stuff like that, I normally just use stock. And this free clip is free. It's a free plugin, so that's fine. More expensive plugins and stuff do the job and they can do it better, but I don't know if it makes much difference at the end of the day. Okay, so bass mixing, it's at -5 dB. Our actual mid serum patch here is at -8 dB. This mid sub is -10 and the sub is -4, just to mix it all together, to balance those highs and lows, sort of put them all together so they sound good. There's an EQ here to cut out those lows. Anything below 120 Hz, I cut out the bass frequencies because then I fill it in here. And this mid one just gives it that extra frequency there. I could probably cut that out on 120 as well, but that sort of overlaps with the bass, just the sub bass. What else do I have on here? I tried trash, which I went over earlier, just giving it saturation. There's also trash here too. Just apply a bit of tape saturation on the sub too. Yeah, nothing but EQ on that one. Our melodies are going to reverb and delay rooms. Basically just stock standard Ableton. Reverb delays, not too much, not too much settings actually changed on these. Just EQing, really, and then just using sends to taste. So very simple, plain mixing, but my end goal here is to give myself about 6 or 7 dB of headroom. Sounds good, sounds loud. You're not too quiet anywhere. All the elements sort of fit together in the frequency spectrum. I have a span. To see. So your bass wants to be sitting around -36 dB, or whatever this scale is here. Because when you master it, the bass wants to be up around -30 to and peaking at -24 as a rule of thumb to get that full volume. Yeah, these individual channels down here, I've just mixed. Turn the volume down. Okay, yeah, turn that speaker off. that one. 10, 12, negative 12. So this has more traditional mixing applied rather than just slapping clippers on them and anything like that, because anything atmospheric and, you know, highs, you don't want to smash through a clipper. It will sound distorted. You want to maintain the soundscape. But yeah, Johnson bass, clip them, maintain their loudness, don't turn things down because you're going to lose the body. Only just adjustments to turn it down. So yeah, this was the pre-master I sent to the label. Oh yeah, I've got a glue compressor here, just gluing things together to give it that, get any peaks and stuff like that. And I've got a EQ mid-side just to cut out anything below 120 on the sides. So I have mono compatibility. I don't have any real tools other than that to deal with stereo. These sounds themselves, I have pretty good stereo content, as far as Span tells me. So we don't have to really worry too much about stereo content. Some people, you know, chuck wideners on the sound to widen everything. Can just get messy. I just like to keep things simple and clean. I said the stereo content is in this patch. Width's 100 there, so you're going to have a wide sound. Yeah, it's all dealt with in the patch. You don't need to add stereo. And obviously these are mono for the basses, because they're just a single sine wave. There's no mono utilities applied or anything like that. Sometimes I do. If it's too mono-y, too stereo, I add a mono thing for the mid sides. But yeah, a cut. Everything below 120 at mono should be fine. So yeah, this is a loudness meter which I use when I master. So I do a home master, which when I build the track, and so finish off the track at home, then I can sort of play it against other tracks to see if it stands up in my mixes. So we can just turn these on, and this will yeah, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 limiters. I find rather than having one limiter, I have multiple. And give it, plus 60 we also range each one. This really allows me to push the levels without distorting it. But yeah, this is a loud master. If I were to play this now, let's just see. this is negative 3.5. Negative 6 love centigrade. Pretty low. Let's have a look at the master the label sent me. And just compare. This is AB it. Not as impactful, but I think it works in the dynamic range aspect. Yeah, so about negative 7 compares my negative 6 or negative 3. Not as balls to walls as my master. I sort of push it quite high. Could probably just chop out a couple of these limiters. It's fine. Yeah, that's, I believe, concludes the track breakdown for Ford Sequence. Okay, have a good day.